and say welcome to the SUNY DLE Brightspace webinar series. Today we're going to cover gradable activities, which covers discussions, assignments, and quizzes. The format of these webinars is that for the first 60 minutes, I'm going to demonstrate these three different tools to you in Brightspace, and I reserve the last 30 minutes of the session for you to ask questions. You can, of course, ask questions as I am doing the demonstration. Please put those in the chat. It's very helpful to me because I go back and review the questions after the demonstration. If you highlight your questions with a capital Q or the word questions in all caps so that I can differentiate that between comments, etc. Captioning is available. We have live transcripts running. And I just want to ask to ensure a great listening experience for everybody that you maintain mute on your microphone. If you do have a question that needs to be asked verbally, I ask that you hold off until the 30-minute Q&A at the end of the session today, and that you raise your hand or you post in the chat that you would like to ask a question on the microphone, and then I'll request that you unmute yourself. We have recordings available, and I'll discuss how to access those at the end of this session. So with that, I'm going to get logged into Brightspace here. And I'm going to log in as myself, and we're going to start talking about gradable activities. We're going to start by discussing the discussions. We're going to start with discussions. We'll move on to assignments, and finally we'll move on to quizzes. At which point, we're going to take a journey back to the course builder. So for those of you who joined me during the creating content or authoring content scaled webinar just a couple of days ago, you're going to see that final menu in the course menu and how we're going to use those placeholders that we set for our gradable activities. So with that, I want to bring us to creating a discussion. And to do that, we go to our nav bar, and depending on what your nav bar on your campus looks like, you'll select course activities, or you might see the link for discussions right here in the nav bar itself. So you click on discussions, and it brings you here to this discussions list. If you've not been building, you might not have any discussions here. That's okay. We'll get that done shortly. I have 4 tabs on the discussions page. First is my discussions list, which is where all of my discussions are housed. I have a tab for subscriptions, so you can manage your subscriptions to particular discussion threads or replies. And if you're using groups in your course, this is a very helpful way to ensure that the correct people have access to the correct discussions. And finally, as you start to progress through your semester and have students participating in your class and in your discussions, coming to this statistics page is a really helpful way to get an idea of individual participation among your users, as well as overall participation in the forums and topics to see whether a forum is successful or if you might need to tweak something. Before we start building a discussion, it is very helpful for me to describe something rather unique with the Brightspace discussions. It's quite different from other learning management systems, where in another learning management system, you might just create a discussion and you put the instructions there, and that's where the student participates. But within Brightspace, there's actually 2 parts to a full discussion. You're going to have to build a discussion forum, and then you provide a place for students to participate in the discussion by creating a topic. And that might seem a little confusing, but I hope by the end of this session that you'll understand. And sometimes how I like to describe it is the discussion forum, it acts like a bulletin board. It provides a place, a location for you to build the interactive element for the students. So it's a big thing. You set rules for participation overall in the bulletin board, and then you can have multiple pieces of paper or topics all housed within that bulletin board. And so the topic itself then serves as the piece of paper that you might tack to a bulletin board saying you need a roommate or you found a cat, etc. And that's where students are going to interact. The whole point of this is for if a faculty member wants to create a single discussion forum and then have multiple topics within that discussion forum, they can do so. But I have found that in training, the easiest way to have people understand this kind of two-part system here within the discussions is to create a one-to-one ratio. We're going to create one forum, we're going to create one topic, and that is going to be linked to the gradebook, and that's how our students are going to participate. So with that, I'll just demonstrate really quickly what this is going to look like. For our students, we see that we've created a forum, and again, this is the bulletin board, which is going to contain our instructions. And then we create a topic, which this is what we link to in the content area. We can add a, what's called a replace string, and I'll talk to you about that. So we can personalize our work for our students. It will then put the student's name in here. And then this is where the students are going to make their main post and their replies. With that, I'm going to come up here to this new button and click New Forum. That brings me to this editing field here where I can create a title, and actually just bear with me a moment. I need to grab some text for me to copy here. I have some boilerplate discussion text here, which makes it easier for me to do the training here. Just one moment. So when we're creating our new discussion forum, or the bulletin board, as it were, we're going to create a title. So this is the 8-3. I'm going to put forum in here so you can kind of tell the difference between the forum and the topic here. You have the option to create a new topic in this forum with the same title. I found that it does not save me any clicks, and actually sometimes ends up creating forums that I'm not using. So I don't use this button right here. And this description area is where I recommend you add your instructions for your discussions. So I'm going to maximize this out to full screen, and I'm going to paste those instructions that I had copied. What I tend to do when I'm creating gradable activities is I create one template, and then I just keep copying that information so that I don't have to rebuild this every single time. And then I have consistent formatting from week to week, forum to forum, etc. You'll notice that I'm making this accessible and following best practices for how I create content, so that my discussion title is marked as heading 1, my context is heading 2, etc. Main posts are heading 3. I'm sorry, my cat is singing the songs of her people because she wants to play. So what I do recommend when you're creating your gradable activities is that you set some context for your students. Providing context allows your students to understand the importance of this gradable activity, what learning objectives it's tied to, what other learning content or resources that you've provided to your students this forum ties to, etc. So they understand what they should have read before participating, and they understand that this particular discussion has value. When students understand that this isn't just busy work, that there's substance to this gradable activity, they're more willing to engage with it and give it their time and attention. After providing that context, you're going to pose your questions, and discussion forum question writing is an art form. You can have a discussion question that works really well in one semester, and then the next semester tanks. And it's all about being responsive to your audience, maybe shifting the topic or the questions being posed, etc., a little bit. But after a few semesters, you'll have your discussions honed well enough that you'll get great participation there. With your main post, you want to make sure that you're providing the criteria that your students are going to be reaching for, the amount of words, whether or not you require any references or citations, whether or not they have to support their opinions with those references, whether or not they need to include key terms, etc. Providing this information right here where the students are going to be submitting their work helps the students meet your expectations and increases the compliance here. In addition, students and faculty report that discussion forums replies are sometimes less than stellar. Students don't understand how to respond. And so it's helpful if you provide them with some guidance in that regard. So in addition to providing instructions about the main post, it's helpful to guide them, in your response post, look at your peers' post, respond critically, but helpfully to the students' factual information, maybe bring in information from your own post, or you could guide them to take the opposing viewpoint or another perspective, etc. Just guide them in that response and you'll see better engagement in your discussions. So once you have your instructions complete, we're going to scroll down here. And now what we're doing is we're setting the rules for the forum, or the bulletin board, if you will, here. So you're setting the rules of engagement for when people start to participate in those topics later on. Do you want to allow anonymous posts? Do you want students to have to write their own post before they're able to read anybody else's post, which is going to prevent a student from going in at the last minute, reading other people's stellar posts, and then kind of mashing it all together to create their own post. You can have moderator approval if it's a particularly contentious or potentially kind of emotional topic. And the one I always select here is to display the forum description in the topics. And this is going to make it so the instructions that you have provided here show up on the page where the students are going to post their responses. You can click over here into the restrictions tab, and you don't have to worry clicking between tabs on this page. It saves it automatically. You can hide this from users. So if it's during your live class session, you can, and you're not ready for students to start participating, you can hide this from your students until you're ready to release it. This hide from is a hard brake, which means it's like your parking brake in your car. It overrides your foot brake. And so if you have this hidden from users, even if it's the availability dates are active here, it's going to remain hidden as long as there's a check mark in this box. You can set availability for your discussion forum. So you can set a start date, and it's typically marked as the time that you entered into the discussion forum, the date and time. I like to revert back to the midnight time right here. And then we have three different options about what to do about the availability of this object. So do we want it visible with access restricted before start, which means they know there's a discussion forum, but they don't know the instructions. The other is that it's visible with submission restricted before start, which means that they have access to the instructions, but can't participate they can't make a submission. And finally, it can be hidden before start, which means they don't even know that there's a discussion forum there. Everything's hidden. I tend to choose visible with submission restricted, which allows my students to kind of get a feel for what's coming. They can do the readings with this discussion forum in mind and be all set. You can also set an end date. And I'm actually not going to set an end date for this, but you can see that you have the same options. If I were to set an end date, I might choose the visible with submission restricted after it ends. So this means that students can continue to see the discussion, but they can't participate. This is great. It cuts off participation at your due date, for instance, and then students can't submit late. You have another option here to display dates and calendar. And if you attended the communication scaled webinar or intend to, I do encourage faculty to use the calendar as robustly as you possibly can. So anywhere it says displaying calendar, I like to select that option. And so now I don't have to add into the calendar that there's a discussion that starts on 8/3. Brightspace is going to do that for me. We don't discuss release conditions and group restrictions here in the fundamentals workshops. We'll be covering those in advanced topics starting in September. So you have a couple of options. Once you've completed setting the parameters for your forum, you can click Save and Close, or you can click Save and Add Topic. And this saves you some time. It if you're prepared to create your topic immediately. So I'm going to add the topic now. And so I've created my bulletin board. And now what I'm doing is creating that piece of paper that I tack onto that bulletin board where students are going to start to participate. You can see it's linked already to the forum that I just created, which is why it's helpful to do save and create a new topic. And then you can restrict the topic to a group or leave it open to everybody in your course. I'm going to call this my 8.3 discussion topic. And down below in my description, you might be tempted to add in those instructions again, but if you'll remember when we clicked through the parameters for our forum, we said display the forum descriptions and the topics. So we already have our instructions that are going to be displayed. So I can take advantage of that and use what's called a replace string within Brightspace. So I type in curly bracket, first name, all one word, and the end curly bracket. And what that's going to do is replace this string of symbols with the user's name. Whoever is looking at this page is going to see their name inserted here. And then you can say, please post your name post by Thursday midnight and your 2 replies by Sunday. You can, put whatever posting instructions you would like to put. And then I forgot to do this, I'm sorry. So I'm going to put posting guidelines. And I'm going to make this my heading 1. So you can see now I have my posting guidelines, my first name replace string, and I'll show you how to attach this to your content area in just a couple of moments. Now, we're going to scroll down and you're going to see options. And this might seem redundant because we set some options for our discussion forum, but we have to set additional options for that piece of paper we're putting on the bulletin board. So you can allow anonymous posts. I like to do the post first, which means the student has to make their own submission before they can read somebody else's. And I'm going to leave the moderator approval blank. For rating postings, we have some options so students can rate one another's posts, and you can actually rate students' posts using these. We have a 5-star rating scheme. We have an up or down vote rating scheme, and then we have an up vote only. And this tends to be the one I select because it's only positive reinforcement. There's no negative or punishment or negative feelings associated with either of these two. You can choose to not do ratings, or you can choose which rating post works best for you. I'm going to scroll back up to the top and I'm going to click over into the restrictions tab. And here's where I can hide this topic from user view. And then I can set the availability for the topic. So this is handy if you have multiple topics for forum. You can have some topics open at one time, another topic at another time, etc. But you could also set the availability date for this. Just make sure if you're doing it, it fits within the availability dates of the particular forum there. And I'm going to set this with visible with submission restricted before start. I'm not going to select an end date here, and then I will display a calendar, but please feel free if you want to have a due date for discussions and you don't want them to submit after the due date, you can go ahead and select that date here. Up here on the assessment tab, you'll notice that we have this tab in the topic area, but we did not have it in the forum area. And that's indicating that the topic itself is what gets tied to our gradebook and allows us to assess this discussion. So we're going to click new grade item so that all of our discussions are going to go into this discussion topic is going to get tied to our grade book, which is why it's helpful to create your grade book ahead of time, by the way. And I'm going to type in my name. I wish it did get typed in for me, but that is not something that Brightspace does. And if you want to, you can give it a short name. So I might call it 82D. And then you select, if you're using a weighted grading system, you select the category that it falls into. You can provide a description and allow those students to see that description there. And and then you can enter in the maximum points. So I typically make my discussions worth 100 points. And then because of the parameters I set in my category for this, I can't alter the weight right here. That's it's established by points how things are distributed across this particular category. Now I set my maximum points at 100, which means that if I ever wanted to give 101 points or 102 points for somebody who did an exceptional job, it would truncate any additional points off unless I click this can exceed. So if you ever offer points beyond the maximum that you've entered here, you need to make sure that you click can exceed. Otherwise, the maximum value they can achieve on this assignment is 100 points. If it's an extra credit or bonus item, you can click this button right here. If you have a grade scheme, you can insert that right here. If you want to restrict the view of the grade item itself, you can restrict it from use by hiding it or setting availability dates for the grade item. And then you click Save. You have to once again enter in the score out of, so it's important to make sure that it's meeting it's the same value, 100 and 100. And then if you have a rubric, you can go ahead and add that as well. I'm going to add this discussion rubric here. And now that discussion rubric will be available to the students before they post so they can understand what the criteria and levels of achievement are. And then I can use that when I'm grading my discussion. You can also assess individual posts. If you would like to do so, you select this button, and then you have to select how you want the gradebook to calculate those individual post assessments. So do you want it to average, min, max score, etc. I have my my assessment of individual posts included in my discussion rubric, so I don't select that, but you absolutely can. So that's it. We've created our bulletin board, our discussion forum, and then we've created our piece of paper that goes on that bulletin board, which is our topic. So I'm going to click Save and Close. It's visible here down at the very bottom of my discussion forum. You'll see, or my discussion list rather, you'll see here my 8.3 discussion forum is here. It's going to be available today. Submission is restricted before availability starts. My instructions are present, and then I have the discussion topic here. So students can actually enter into the discussion topic from the discussions area. If you want, and this is something I highly recommend, we recommend that you add a link to the topic within your content area so that students are driving through the learning resources that you provided, and then they're hitting the link to the topic where it's appropriate for them to hit it. I'm going to show you at the end of creating all these gradable activities because we recommend using the course builder for that. It's a really quick and efficient way to do that. So the next course activity we're going to cover is assignments, and this can be found either specifically named assignments here on your nav bar, or by clicking the word assignments from your course activities dropdown. It brings us to this page where we have a table that contains all of your previously created assignments. And when you look at this table, you'll see that you can see names of your previously created assignments, whether or not there are new submissions for you to take a peek at, the number of students who have completed this work, whether or not you've evaluated or published that work, and a due date as well. Excuse me. You'll notice that there are icons next to the titles of these assignments. And if you're not sure what the icons are, you can simply hover over them. And this indicates that this assignment is not visible to students. This indicates that's group activity. This merit badge indicates it's tied to the grade book, etc. If you need to edit an assignment that you've already created, you can click the chevron right here and you can edit the assignment. You also notice that you can manage exemptions or delete, copy this assignment, etc., or view the submission log for that assignment. You'll also notice we have a bulk edit option up here. So I just want to demonstrate that you can select all the rows. and you can click bulk edit, or you can select just one or multiple assignments here from this list. Clicking bulk edit brings you into this page where you have the ability to make quick changes here to titles, to categorizing your assignments here within that table, and I'll go back to that in a moment. You can set availability dates and due dates for those assignments all on one page. It's kind of helpful. The next thing I want to mention is that we have a button here called Edit Categories, and you'll notice that I have some assignments that aren't in categories. And I wish they used a different term here, because sometimes faculty get confused between a category here in your assignments area and your gradebook categories if you're using a weighted grade system. All it means here for an assignment category is a way for you to organize your assignments so that it's easier for you and for your students to find your assignments. So I've created categories for all of the assignments I create in these scaled webinars, and all of the assignments that I create within my synchronous remote training, etc. And so that's the difference there. We have some more actions here. You can reorder your assignments. You can make assignments visible to users or hide them, and you can delete assignments as well. For now, let's click New Assignment. And it brings us to this page where we can enter the name of this assignment. So I'm going to call it the 8-2 assignment. And you'll notice initially the assignment is ungraded. The moment you click into this box, however, it opens up a new menu for you. And I'm going to give this a value of 100 points. Then we come to this drop-down menu and we select, well, we have three options. If you didn't mean to click into the points and you want to reset it to ungraded, you can reset it here. If you want it to have a point value but not tie it to your grade book, for example, if it's a rough draft, you can do that here, or you can edit or link to existing. So this is where we're going to tie it to the grade book. So I click here, and this is where I choose the grade category if I'm working with a weighted grading system. This is a written assignment, so I'm going to put it into my written assignment gradebook category and click OK. I can set a due date here, and so my due date is actually going to be September 3rd, and it automatically inputs the end of day, which is 23:59, a very helpful tool for us to use here. I'm going to include instructions here, so I will expand it out to full screen, and we do recommend that even if you have instructions for all of your gradable activities contained within your syllabus or your course information documents, that you also make those instructions available where students are submitting. So that redundancy is actually encouraged in the online course delivery. So please feel free to put your instructions right here. I'm going to reuse my discussion forum instructions, and then I want to set some criteria here. And so this way my students understand how to be successful. They understand the why of this assignment. They understand what they're supposed to do, and then they understand the criteria associated with this assignment. I'm going to minimize this here and talk about this bar down below my instructions area. I can upload a file if I would like. This is a great way to upload examples of work, so exemplars, an A paper, a B paper, a C paper, etc. It might be a good place for me to attach my rubric if I would like to, or link back to maybe an article that they should have read for this particular document. You can also link back to an existing activity in your course. So if this paper is based off of something that they've engaged with in your content area, you can link there. You can attach it to your Google Drive or your OneDrive, and you can also create a video note right here in your assignments and create that +1, which is a universal design for learning concept, where in addition to written instructions, you're providing verbal instructions, which can help increase understanding for your students. Next, I'm going to come over here to availability dates and conditions, where I can set a start date for this assignment, which is today at midnight. And I can provide an end date if I would like. I set my due date at September 3rd, so I'm actually going to click in that as my date, and you can see here it's marked it as midnight. I don't talk about release conditions here within the fundamentals workshops, but I do want to talk to you about special access. And special access allows you to provide accommodations to your students. So, this doesn't necessarily pertain to time and a half, but if you have a student maybe who's an athlete and they're traveling on the weekend that this assignment is due, and they reach out to you ahead of time and say, listen, can I submit late? Do you mind? I don't get back until Sunday. This is due on Saturday. Can I submit on Sunday when I get back? And you can agree to that or not, that's your prerogative, but I tend to allow that. And I'm going to click Manage Special Access for that student, which allows me to give a student special access and submit outside of the regular time frames that I've provided here. So I'm going to add users to special access and set those parameters. I'm going to alter this due date. And because it was originally September 3rd, I'm actually going to shift it to September 5th, just to give the student a little bit of extra time to submit this. And I'll make it end of day. And then I have to make sure that I extend that end date out to the 5th as well, just so the student has full access. And finally, I can come down here and select the student. Tamara is my student athlete. So I'm going to select her and click Save. Sorry, I didn't change the time. I see. So if you didn't set the parameters right, by the way, it will ding you there, and click Save. You can double check this, that everything is set the way you had intended to. If it's not, you come over here, click on this pencil and edit it. Otherwise, click Save and Close. And you can see now that you've added one user with special access here. Down into the Submission and Completion menu, you have the option to make the assignment individual or a group assignment. And then you can categorize this assignment within that table on the assignments page. Again, this is different from the gradebook category. This is just to help you organize your assignments within that table. So I'm going to choose scaled webinars. And then you can choose your submission type. So whether it's a file submission, or you only want them to use the text box, or this is something that they're submitting on paper in a hybrid or HyFlex or supplemented class, or whether it's something you've observed in person. I'm going to leave this as a file submission. And we're going to talk about this option here for files allowed per submission. And that is, right now it's marked at unlimited. Some faculty are inclined to choose one file because they only want the student to submit one thing for them to grade. And I'm going to actually encourage you to select unlimited. The reason for that is sometimes the student's going to submit something on August 3rd at 23:56, which is close to midnight, and I'm asleep. And if a student panics because they've submitted the wrong assignment, if I only have one file allowable, they don't have any recourse other than to email me and say, I can't submit, I submitted the wrong file. So if you allow unlimited, the student can fix that problem themselves. And then you can come down to this area and restrict what happens then with those submissions. Do you want all of those submissions kept? Do you want them to only keep one submission, so they have to choose which one they want to have deleted and which one is maintained? Or do you want it to be only the most recent submission is kept? So you can see that you're still managing with some of these submission options to keep just one file, but you're allowing students to remedy a mistake that they made. You can also select allowable file extensions. So if you only want a PDF or annotatable files, which is like Word, rich text format, or PDF, files that can be previewed without conversion, images and videos, or custom file types. Say, for example, you only want a PowerPoint, you could do a custom file type. I do want to caution you, if you do custom file types, there are students who have different versions of of software. So for example, if they have the Mac version, their PowerPoint is actually OPT instead of PPT. So you have to just make sure that you're entering in all of the allowable file extensions for that particular thing. So if you have any questions about that, you can click on this question mark and it will open up this page and you'll see a list of all the different file types you can restrict it to. I actually need to change that to no restrictions. If you would like to get a notification when an assignment is submitted, you can type in your email here. And then finally, evaluation and feedback. If you would like to add a rubric, you can do so. I'm going to just add this one. And then you can leave this as the default if you would like to use the built-in annotation tool here within Brightspace. And if you would like to do anonymous marking, which means you don't know which students' submissions you're grading until everything's graded, you can select here. Assignments are by default marked as invisible to students, so you have to make sure that you select this visibility button. Otherwise, it's going to, this is again the parking brake that's going to override these dates that you've set here. So I like to make it visible. I click save and close, and I'm all done with my assignment here. And so you can see it's been added to my scaled webinars. It's allowing anonymous marking. It's attached to the gradebook, and there's special access for a student here. All right, let's go to our last gradable activity, which is quizzes. So I'm going to come here, click on quizzes. And this looks really similar to the assignment area within Brightspace. And so what you'll see though is that we have 3 tabs on this page. This is the manage quizzes area where you'll have this table with all of your quizzes listed out in it. We have a question library, which we're going to come back to in just a moment. And then we have a statistics page, which is again, a great way for you to come back after students have submitted their quizzes and assess the performance of your assessment itself, not necessarily the performance of your students, but whether or not your questions are assessing what you intend them to. And so you can come in here and view, how students did overall. It was a very low performance on this one. So I might want to explore more what's happening with this quiz and make it so that I can see if maybe I inserted an incorrect answer or if there was a question that was poorly worded, etc. So do take some time to review the statistics area. Back on the Manage Quizzes tab, you'll see that I have this list. Again, I have categories for these quizzes, and I've organized them in like the scaled webinars, and I was just testing things out, and then in the synchronous remote training. You'll notice then next to each of these quizzes, I understand what the due dates are, the availability dates for this particular quiz, and whether or not I have any parameters set, like it's set to the gradebook and there's special access, etc. If you want to edit the quiz, you can click this chevron here and you can edit, you can copy it, you can do grading, you can view reports, etc. You have lots of information about all of your quizzes. I don't have time to cover all of that in today's session, but we'll cover that in September. And then you also have the bulk edit option similar to the assignments where you can alter the due date, you can change the name and recategorize your quizzes here. So you could go ahead and you could create a new quiz from here right now. But what I'm going to recommend is that you add an extra step here and start building questions in the question library. The reason for that is if you've been with me for previous scaled webinars, you know that I like flexibility in my digital course content. And building your questions in the question library gives you so much flexibility when it comes to creating test question pools, to using questions multiple times on different, like a knowledge checks and weekly quizzes, and maybe again in your exam, etc. It also allows you then, if you're using it in multiple places, make corrections to that question if necessary all at once, and then it propagates out to all of the places where that question was housed, etc. It's really just a great way to help you organize your questions. So that's where I'm going to go first here today. And I'm going to create some questions here in my library. You'll notice off to the left of my question library, I have a series of folders to help me organize my materials here. And I created these folders by clicking New and section. So if you want to create a folder for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, etc., you can do that, and then you can create questions within this specific folder, which then makes it easier for you to pull questions from those particular sections into a quiz or an exam. You also have options to import questions here into the library, and this is where I would recommend, if you have a question bank from a publisher, that you import your questions here. In fact, I might suggest you do chapter 1 sections and then import your file this way. So say, for example, I'm going to click into this scaled webinar section. It's going to bring up all of the questions I've created in my scaled webinars, and I can import maybe a question bank from my scaled webinar textbook in here and organize it that way. You also have some options here where you can edit a particular question. I need to edit, I need to preview it, I need to look at the attempts on a particular question. This table will give you information about what type of question it is, the point value that you've assigned to it, and then the level of difficulty and whether or not the question is mandatory. And we're going to talk about those in just a couple of minutes. We have the option, so here, if you wanted to, you can move all of your questions from one section into another, or maybe you want to move one question into another section, you can do that. You can delete your questions, you can reorder them, and then you can edit values. Sorry, you have to select this and click Edit Values. I'll show you that after we've created some questions. So for now, let's click New. We're going to create a new question. And you'll notice that even within a section, you can create a subsection of questions if you would like. We have lots of questions types to choose from here within Brightspace. We have the foundational 4, which are the most commonly used questions for assessments. And that includes true and false, multiple choice, multiple select, and written response. The first 3 are automatically graded by Brightspace. Written response is manually graded. So if you use this question type, you're going to have to go in and grade it yourself when students submit. We have lots of other question types, and I encourage you to explore those. We covered those in depth in the Otter Institute last week, and so we have recordings for those if you're interested in what these type of questions look like, how to set them up, etc. I do want to point out the one thing here. If you're coming from Blackboard, short answer questions in Blackboard were manually graded questions. Within Brightspace, they are automatically graded questions, which means that if you had short answer questions in Blackboard, when they're migrated into Brightspace, they get converted into written response questions so that they maintain that manually graded setting. But if you're creating a short answer question here in Brightspace, just know that it's automatically graded. So for now, let's create a multiple choice question. And it's bringing me to this page, and you'll notice I lose access to my nav bar. If I need my nav bar, I just click back into my question library. If I change my mind about what type of question I want to create, I have this drop box here. And then I have an options menu. This option menu is going to be different based on which type of question you're creating. All 3 of them start with the same thing: add feedback, hint, and short description. But then the next options are different depending on your question type. I'll go through what these are in just a moment. I'm going to type my question text, and when I click into this question text box, you're going to notice a rich text editor here has appeared. It's truncated. If you need the full rich text editor, you just toggle out to full screen, and you'll see you have access. You can add images, you can add videos, you can add anything else that you might want to add to a particular question, and students will be able to see that then in their exam. So my question text is, which cat was singing the song of her people at the start of this training session? All right, and here's where I might want to add a hint. Hint, she had her mouse. Okay. And then you can provide answers. So I have a couple of different cats. And so I have Arwen. I have Hot Sauce. I have Walter. And I have These Hot Sauce and Walter are my son's cats. And then we have Luthien. I also have another cat, so I want to add an answer. And this is Peanut. Okay, so you'll notice that as I'm typing these responses, they are showing over here on the right-hand side, which is going to indicate how the students will see this question display to them. So I have to select the correct answer. If I wanted to reorder these, I could. If, say, I wanted them to be in alphabetical order, there, like that. I could reorder those. And then what if I wanted to add custom weights? What if a student would argue that it was actually Hot Sauce who was meowing? I could say, well, sometimes she's meowing in sessions, but it wasn't actually this one. So I could give them 50% if I wanted to by using those custom weights, or I could remove those custom weights if I wanted to here. The last option here is to add enumeration. So over here in the preview, this is how it's going to look. But if you add enumeration, it's going to add A, B, C, D, and E, or you can change the enumeration down here to a number or to a Roman numeral, etc. Or you can remove enumeration altogether. It's going to be up to you. As you scroll down, you can randomize the answer order. The only place you can randomize answer order for any quiz questions is within the question itself. So if you intend to do that, make sure you're clicking this when you're creating the question itself. And then you can use the default point, which is 1, or you can add an additional, you can change the value to whatever you would like it to be here. When I go to save, there's a drop-down menu here. I can click Save and New or Save and Copy. So if you want to create a brand new question, you would click Save and New. If you wanted to use these answer options again or the question title again, it's really convenient to click Save and Copy, because then if I want to ask questions about my cats, I don't have to I don't have to retype all of these in. All I have to do is alter the question text and which cat has a food bowl in his office because he's cold and doesn't like to go downstairs. And I'm going to, in this instance, remove the hint because this is unmistakable here. So it's the correct answer is Peanut. So again, I didn't have to type these answers again, and then I can click Save. If I would like, then I'm going to select this. I'm going to create one more question, but I don't want to create it using these answer options. So I'm going to click Save and New. And in this instance, I'm going to create a manually graded question for the written response. Here you'll notice now I have different options. I have the add feedback, hint, and short description, but I also have the option to provide an answer key for myself when I'm grading these, their responses. I can have a custom response box size, and I can have initial text. So if I wanted to provide starter text for my students, I could do that. I'm going to remove that option here. And I can start my question text here. And you'll notice the rich text editors here. So if you need to expand that out and see the full editor, you absolutely can. My question text today is, how valuable have you found these scaled webinars? What has been most effective? What has been most challenging? Okay. Here you'll see that it's typing that question out for what the student is going to see. You can enable or not the HTML editor for your students, and you can allow learners to insert images or add attachments if you would like here. You can adjust the response box size, which is going to help your students understand essentially how much you're expecting them to write. And so if you chose just a sentence, it's a very small box. If it's a paragraph, it's this long. And if it's a really extensive essay, you can do the much longer, and then you can see it extends that, that response box quite a bit. And then you can provide an answer key and scaled trainers, the scaled webinar helps us reach. All right, so then I can change my default points. And for an essay, I'm going to make it 10 points. And then now that I'm done adding my questions, I can click Save. You'll see that my questions have been added to the bottom of this list. And you'll notice that the difficulty value here is marked as 1, and that there was no option for me to alter that when I was creating my question, nor was there an option for me to mark it as mandatory. So I'm going to select these 3 questions that I just created, and I'm going to edit the values. You'll see here that if I had incorrectly added the point value here, I can switch this. I can adjust the difficulty level. This is a relatively easy question, and you can ascribe difficulty based on what level of Bloom's taxonomy your students are expected to be in order to answer your question appropriately. So this multiple choice question is actually kind of easy, so I'm going to leave this as a 1. But this I'm going to ask students to provide me with a little bit more synthesis, more critical evaluation, etc. So I'm going to make this a 3. This mandatory is really helpful in that when you are creating a pool of questions, maybe you have 50 questions for chapter 1, and there are 3 or 4 questions that you want every student to have, but you want to be able to randomly select questions. Indicating that a question is mandatory will make sure that the selector always chooses that question, and then every student is going to get that question, and the remaining questions will be randomized. So this is a great way to make sure that every student sees a question you intend them to see, and click Save. So I'm all set editing my questions. I can come back here to the question library. And if I needed to add more questions, I absolutely could. But now I'm actually done editing my questions. So I click this button here. And I'm back in this Manage Quizzes area. At this point, I'm going to create a brand new quiz. So I select New Quiz. And I give my quiz a name. I'm going to call this my 8-3 quiz. I can categorize it on that table if I would like. So this is going to be a scaled webinar. And right now it's saying the quiz is empty, which means I haven't added any questions. If you want to skip the question library option, right, you can always add and edit your questions right from here. That's an option. It's not one I would choose, but you absolutely can do this. But I'm going to click Add and Edit Questions, which is going to allow me to add questions from my library. So I could add a new question here. I could create a section. So maybe I have a chapter 1 section on my quiz, a chapter 2 section. Maybe I create a question pool that's going to randomly pull 20 questions out of a 50 question library section. Or I can import, right? So I could upload a file, which means I could upload a browse my publisher's text bank, which I don't recommend doing from here. I do recommend doing it from the question library, or I can browse my question library here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll down until I find that scaled webinar section. And then I'm going to choose those last 3 questions that I just created. You'll notice that if a question's already in another quiz, it will have that information, and you can use questions in multiple different assessments. That's totally fine. And then you can import. If you want to, you can import it. If you've created if you've already added other questions, you can import it to a specific area in the quiz. You can import it into a specific section of your quiz, or you can just click Import. It wants you to double check that you've added the questions that you intended to. I'm going to double check this total point value here and come back to my settings for the quiz. Now that I've added questions, I have some additional options here. This will allow you to limit the number of questions per page that are displayed to your students. And so with this, I might say 1 question per page, and you have to click Apply. And then if you do have that paging, you have to indicate whether or not you want students to be able to progress forward and backward through the quiz, or if you want to prevent them from moving backward, they can only move forward. It's a pedagogical preference. You can choose which one works for you. If you want to shuffle your questions at the quiz level, you can do so. Just remember, this is only shuffling the question order, not the answer order. This description area is actually one I encourage you to use. This is going to be before you begin your exam. And I like to say, write down the phone number for the SUNY Online Help Desk. And the reason for that is, and I explain all this in my description area, in the event of a technical issue, if the student gets kicked out or something happens to their computer, etc., they have that phone number for them to reach out to somebody immediately. And they have extended hours at that help desk, and their people are trained to help students. They can go into the student's course, see what's going on. They could help them troubleshoot issues on their computer, etc. So they're there to provide that technical support, which eases the responsibility from us as faculty members. So the student has immediate access to assistance there. The other bonus is then that I, as an instructor, have a record. Then if a student is claiming they had an issue during the test, there will be a ticket created in the help desk system. And so I can verify that. So if student says, I had trouble, the help desk wasn't able to get me back in. And I'm like, great, let's work out a way to get you into this test so that you can answer these questions. But if they claim they have a technical issue, but there's no ticket, then I'll say, well, you were instructed to contact the help desk and you didn't, so I can't make any adjustments here. And what I found as an instructor when I started using this, the number of technical issues that students were experiencing in their exams decreased significantly. So I encourage you to consider this as an option when you're creating your exams. You can use the page header or footer here, and what the header or footer will do, it will display this information, whatever is contained within these boxes, to students for the duration of the quiz. And so if you have a formula that students need access to, Avogadro's number or something like that, that they need access to for the entire quiz, you can put that here in the page header, or maybe an essay or a short poem or something like that that they need to take a quiz on, etc. You can put it there so it's visible at every single quiz question. Back up to the top, I can set some restrictions. And you'll notice that the quiz, like the assignments, are automatically hidden from users. If you're ready for it to be visible to students, remove that parking brake there. You can set a due date, and my due date is going to be September 3rd at midnight. And you can set a availability date, and this is going to be today at 12:01. And my end date is going to be September 3rd at midnight. Normally my due dates aren't Saturdays, but that's the last date on this calendar. So that's when I select. And of course, I like to display that in the calendar for my students. We have some optional advanced restrictions. You can have a password protected quiz, so students have to type in the password before they can take the quiz. You can restrict it to IP range. So maybe if this is a test that they're taking online, but on campus, maybe you can restrict it to a testing center or a specific computer lab that's monitored, etc. And so you can add in the IP ranges for those particular locations. Down here for timing, we have two different time limits. We have a recommended time limit, which is essentially leaving the test open for students, and an enforced time limit. So you can set your recommended time limit, and if you do the recommended one, you can show the clock or not. If you're going to enforce a time limit, then it changes your menu options below. And so this is a relatively brief, there are only 2 multiple choice questions and 1 essay question. So I'm going to give them 10 minutes to take this. And I can provide them a grace period or not. So when they run out of time, it'll be marked as late, but they can still have a couple of extra minutes to submit if you want. I'm going to say 0. you can choose whichever option works best for you. And then you get to choose between these three options. And I term these the Goldilocks options, because you have the allow student to continue working, which is maybe the mama bear, a little too soft. You have the prevent student from making further changes, which might be the just right. And then you have the really hot and spicy, allow the student to continue working, but give them a 0 if they've exceeded the deadline. So this is really spicy. You can add an extended deadline if you would like to do that. Or the one I would typically choose is just prevent the student from making further changes. One thing we should note is it will not automatically submit that quiz for students once the time expires. They do have to click submit. We can also allow special access to this quiz. So if you have a student who needs time and a half, if you attended the accessibility scaled webinar, you know that you can actually make it so that a student's time and a half setting applies to all of your quizzes in your course. But if you only want to do that at the quiz level yourself and set it each time, you can choose this, the type of access, add users to special access. And then you can alter your due date or availability date. You can change the enforced time limit here, which is what I need to do. And they get time and a half. So all I have to do is type in 1.5 here, and it's going to extend the time limit to 15. So you don't have to do the math to give them time and a half. So if you have a 45-minute quiz, you don't have to figure out what's half of 45 and how do I, right? You just multiply it by 1.5 and it's going to do that for you. You can assign an alternative grace period if you would like. And then you can assign alternative behavior if they exceed the time limit. So if you want to change this from the Goldilocks options to something else here, you can do so. If you have a quiz that has multiple attempts and you would like to override the attempts allowed for a particular student, you can do that there. And then you select the student that you want to give this time and a half to. In this case, it's going to be Amir. You'll notice that Jane and Tamara already have that time limit applied because I set it at the course level for those two. And I'm going to add special access. All right, I'm brought back to this page. I'm all set with these parameters on this particular page. I'm going to come to assessment, and this is where we tie it to the gradebook. And you have options. Do you want to auto-publish the attempt results immediately upon completion? That's up to you. This particular quiz contains a written response, which means I have to go in and grade it. So I actually wouldn't want to select this option because they'll be like, I only got 4 out of 14 points, like what's wrong? So I'm going to hold off on publishing those results until I have graded the manually graded item. We're going to add the grade item to the grade book. We're going to give it a name, which is the 8-3 quiz. And I'm going to put it into a category here within my grade book. And this falls into exams in my weighted grade book. The point value is 14. Just know that if you had typed in 100 points and the questions were worth 2, 2, and 10, it will do the math and kind of distribute those points accordingly. If you want to be able to add extra points to that 14 points, you can click can exceed, or if it's an extra credit, you click bonus. And if you want to hide this grade items from your students, you can restrict it there and click save. So now it's added to the grade book. I like to select this button once I'm done and published the manually grading of that quiz written response question. It will update for me there in the student's grade book. And then I can do, if this quiz is included in the table of contents, we can set this to it automatically marks after they're submitted, or if a student, they have to achieve a certain grade in order for it to be marked as complete, we can change that there. We can allow multiple attempts if we would like, unlimited, a certain number, and then we click apply. Once we do that, we get some options here where if it's a multiple attempts, say, for example, you do a syllabus quiz and you have 10 questions and a student gets 8 right, 2 wrong. If you select this box if you have unlimited attempts here, by the way, they can select, they only get shown the 2 they got wrong the next time they take the quiz. This is a big time saver and is actually really convenient. And then if you have multiple attempts, you have to choose which overall grade calculation you're going to select. I'm all done. Oh, nope, I have one more tab. I'm sorry. We don't have objectives set up yet in Brightspace, but we'll do sessions on those as soon as we get them set up. And finally, I'm going to come here to submission view. And this is a very helpful page if you're concerned about students taking a test and then showing their results to students that haven't taken the test yet. So I'll show you what the default view is. And the default view is that the quiz was submitted successfully. They'll get that message. And then that they don't see any information about the questions and that they see the score. Now, if you have an unlimited quiz where you need students to be able to see their performance and see what they got right, what they got wrong, you can of course switch that default to show questions and then choose which option works best for you. But for this default view, I'm actually going to click no, and I'm actually going to remove this so they see nothing other than the fact that their quiz was submitted successfully. And I click save. And then what I can do is I can add additional views. And this allows me to control when students see whatever information I want them to about their quiz performance. So I click add additional view. And then I give this an after due date name. I could give a message if I wanted to, and I set restrictions. So this is due September 3rd. And so I'm going to set this actually for September, nope, not October, September 4th at 9 a.m. Students will have access to some options here. You can restrict it. Maybe they can only view it in the testing center. Maybe they can only view it in that computer lab which has proctoring or somebody else there. You could limit the amount of time that they have to review their responses. And then when you show the questions, you can say, do you only want to show the questions they answered incorrectly? Do you want to have the answers available or not? And you can choose whatever works best for you. You can show the attempt score, class average, distribution if you would like, and you click save. So now I've set it up so that it's a little bit easier for me to control what my students see and don't see and when they see it. So I click save and close. And now my quiz is created. I can see it here in my quiz area. So we've created all of our gradable activities, and we do recommend that you take the time to create all of your discussions at once so you can maintain your formatting and you know which buttons you're going to click, and then create all of your assignments at once and then create all of your quizzes at once. Excuse me. And then once you do that, you can add it into your content area. You can, of course, come into the content area, navigate to whichever folder you want them to be in, and you can click existing activities and link to the appropriate quiz or discussion, etc. here. My preference, though, and because I would have built all my discussions at once and all assignments and quizzes, it's actually faster to go into the course builder. And so I come to the course builder. And this time I'm going to open up my 8.2 folder that I created the other day. And you can see that I have a placeholder here for my discussions, my quiz, and my assignment. And if I had built all of my modules out ahead of time, I would have placeholders in all of those separate folders down here below as well. I'm going to scroll down to this menu item we did not get to in the authoring content scaled webinar. We're going to use the browse tools menu. I'm going to click into the discussions link first, which is going to bring up a list of all of the discussions that I've created to date. And I'm going to look for the topic that I want to link to now. So again, this is the topic we're linking, not the forum. And so you can drag and drop. And when you try to drag it over, it's not going to go onto any placeholder except for the one that is a discussion placeholder. You simply drop it right there. You'll notice that the hash marks have now changed to a solid line, which means it's visible to students within this folder out in the content area. You could then proceed to go down into your subsequent folders or modules here and add the discussions into the appropriate areas. We only have one to do today. So what I'm going to do is return to the Browse Tools menu. And this time I'm going to click on Assignments. I'm going to scroll down. Sorry, I have to go to the next page apparently. And I'm going to find this. Well, I'll use this 8.2 assignment here. So I'm going to drag and drop this 8.2 assignment right on top of the assignment placeholder. I can't drop it over anywhere else, right? Over this placeholder. And now it is linked directly in the content area. I would do that for all of my other assignments in my other modules. I'll come back to Browse Tools, go to Quizzes, and I'm going to find that 8.3 quiz that I have and just drag it right on over that placeholder. Now, if you want to skip the step of adding placeholders like we did when we created that page in the authoring content, you can absolutely drag and drop a quiz and you'll see the black line and that's where it goes. But I do tend to like to add my placeholders for my gradable activities. It works a little bit better for me. You choose what works best for you. So now let's come back to the content area. And in this folder, this 8.2 Skilled Webinar folder, you'll now see that I have my pages that I created the other day. I have subfolder, and then I have the topic, the discussion topic. Why is that not displaying my instructions? And then my quiz and my assignment. So they could get to any of these three gradable activities right from here, or they could get to the gradable activities from the discussion, assignment, or quizzes link. All right, I know I ran long. It's really hard to get all the content in for the gradable activities in 1 hour. So what I'm going to do now is post the attendance link for today. So just give me 1 moment to grab, this is gradable activities. I'm going to post it in the chat. And when I click on the link, it's going to bring me to a page where I'm going to have to log in. And I click the SUNY sign in. It's going to ask me for my campus. So I would indicate that I'm from sysadmin and it would bring you up the sysadmin page. If you're from another campus, it will bring up the page that has an image of your own campus here. And then you enter in your campus username and your password, and you can click sign in. At which point it takes a moment here, but it will bring up the page where you can indicate that you were in attendance here in the Gradable Activities Scaled Webinar. And then you click submit. And while people are doing that, I do want to take you to the tle.suny.edu website and let you know that on the trainings tab under recordings, you will find access to all these recordings. Once again, it is behind authentication, so you have to log in. There's a button called your SUNY Federated ID. You click on that, and it's just the same thing we did for the attendance. You have to choose your campus and enter in your campus username and credentials, and then you come back to this recordings page, and you'll have access to the fundamentals workshop, day 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Otter Institute, where we did last week, we covered all of these advanced topics, including in this quizzes one, we covered all of the different answer or question types. And then all of the scaled webinars are recorded and available to you here. All right, with that, I'm going to now take a peek at the questions. There are a couple, so it might take me a moment. Can I enter a due date for a discussion topic, but still have it be possible for students to submit after? So there's no place within the discussion when you're creating the discussion to assign a due date. And what I would recommend then is that you, when you're setting those availability restrictions for that discussion, that you allow them to continue to see and participate, the option that allows them to continue to participate, and then add the due date for your main replies or your peer replies in your course calendar. And that way you're communicating those due dates to your students, even though you can't through the discussion forum. All right. What is the difference between extra credit and bonus? There's no difference. They're the same in terms, it's just called bonus here in Brightspace. And I use the word extra credit because then it links it. So if someone's used to calling it extra credit, they know that bonus and extra credit are the same thing. I should clarify that though in the future. Thank you. For assignments, special access, will the special due date be displayed on that student's calendar? And will the original due date also show in their calendar? They're going to see the original due date, but they will also see their special access date. Is there another view to see manage special access? It did not show up in the page like you showed. All right, so I'm imagining this is for the gradable, for the assignment, because there's still assignment questions coming after that. So let's go into the assignment I created today. And the special access for assignment should look like this. When you click manage special access, this is what should show. Unless you've selected the incorrect option, but this is to allow users with special access outside this. You click add user to special access, and then this page will show. So just so you know, you have to click that gray button to get into this page. So maybe that was the issue, Donna. You have to click this in addition. Can you edit restrictions after some students have submitted an assignment? You can make edits to any gradable activity after a student has submitted, but you're going to get a warning. And so you have to make a decision when you get that warning whether or not this is going to impact the submissions that have already been made. How will importing from Blackboard work for test questions? Is there a specific recording on just importing tests from Blackboard? And you won't have the import from a learning repository option because that's not released to the general public yet. We haven't set up the spaces for the learning object repository. So you could see it on mine because I'm a campus system admin, but you won't see that in yours so that you don't get confused with something you can't actually use yet. But as far as importing tests from Blackboard, they have been importing very, very well. Again, the short answer questions come in as written response, and there are a number of questions in other LMSs that our SUNY campuses are currently using that are not available within Brightspace, and those are like Hotspot and Quiz Bowl, etc. The reason they're not available in Brightspace is because they can't be made accessible. So Brightspace does not allow that. It's a very accessible, friendly tool, and so they're not allowing things that can't be made accessible into it. They're working on it, particularly for the hotspot. That's a question that a lot of the biological sciences like to use in terms of that. So anyway, just as an FYI, you can reach out to your campus. They will have specifics on what your migration process is going to look like on your campus, and they'll have help documents, etc. for that. And they might even be doing sessions on that. How do group assignments work? Can students in a group see the submissions of other students in their group? Actually, if you come here to the recordings on the Otter Institute, we did cover groups. So you can learn more about that there. And then we'll be doing additional sessions in September on groups if you want to come to a live session. Can I make assignment submissions viewable to the rest of the class? I'm figuring out how to manage formal critiques of creative writing. I'll probably have this all be in discussions, but not sure. You cannot have peer review in your assignments. In a group, they can actually submit to what's called a locker, where then they can view each other's work and then provide feedback. But in the actual assignment area, they can't submit something and have another student view it. So if you want that peer evaluation in the discussion area is probably where you want to do that. Mandatory question checked made an error message with checking, prevent moving backwards. Yes, so you can't use a mandatory question and prevent backtracking. It does not allow it. Okay. If a student uploads a file, a docx or PDF, will it appear for inline viewing to their peers and discussions? No. The inline grading is only available in the assignments area for the instructor. If a student is using a lockdown browser and for some reason clicks off it and ends the quiz, can we as the instructor go in and give them a new attempt with a submitted quiz instead of making them start over? Within Brightspace, they can't, we don't have the option for forced completion. So I'm not sure about the lockdown browser. I've not used it in conjunction. That's probably a question you'll have to ask the companies, whichever lockdown browser you're using. But it doesn't, Brightspace quizzing doesn't allow us to mark the option that we had in Blackboard, which was the auto completion, or sorry, that you have to complete it, you can't come back in. So if a student gets kicked out, they can come back in as long as the time hasn't expired, if that answers your question there. Not sure if I missed this, but if you offer a quiz, can you set it up to scramble the order of questions for all students? Yes, I'll show you that. Yep. So back here in edit the assignment, I'm going to come to quizzes. I'm going to select the quiz from today and I'm going to edit it. And when you add your questions, add your questions to the quiz, these three options appear, and then you can shuffle the questions at the quiz level right here. All right, any other questions? If I didn't answer your question that you posted in the chat sufficiently, please feel free to raise your hand and you can come off mute and kind of clarify or ask an additional question. Please let me know. I know I threw a lot of information at you. Gradable activities is a lot of information, and I'm not even able in these sessions to cover each of these fully, but at least this is information to get you started. I do encourage you to come to these recordings for the Otter Institute, because for discussions, for assignments and quizzes, we talk about the rest of the tools that I'm not able to cover in these webinars. And so you can learn a little bit more about those. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your patience with me today, and I hope that you have a great experience with Brightspace, and I hope to see you at subsequent events. Please be aware we will be offering what are called illumination schedules. There's advanced or illuminations webinars starting in September, and they're going to cover advanced topics within Brightspace to help you get the most out of Brightspace. Once you get comfortable and your feet are wet and you're like, oh yeah, I can do this. Now I want to learn more, right? And we'll be talking in those. It's a lot about how to streamline your course so that Brightspace will do a lot of your tasks for you. It will communicate with students. It's going to identify issues for you, etc. So we'll talk about those starting in September. All right, everybody, have a great day. And again, I hope to see you soon. Bye.